Hello, it's Ethan here, and I wanted to make a little video to say that for the past week I've been in self-isolation, actually in quarantine, because I had suspected coronavirus. Last Tuesday I got a high temperature of up to 38 degrees and felt generally unwell with shivers and aches and pains. And then on Wednesday I spent the whole day in bed, was obliterated, which was very unlike me. So I self-isolated away from my pregnant wife and my 3-year-old daughter, to be on the safe side. And I'm really pleased I did. And during the course of the last week, when I've been stuck in this room, I've been working, but I've also been reflecting and doing some thinking about the situation that we all find ourselves in. And I thought I'd just make a quick video to see if I can help share some positive vibes. And those of you that know me know that that's what I'm all about: positivity and positive mindset and attitude. And I just thought that based on the past week experience, but also an experience I had last year where I was confined to my bedroom for 14 weeks following a major surgery which I had in June, which went wrong and ended up creating sepsis in me. I have become quite a connoisseur in the self-isolating malarkey, and I guess it's developed quite a bit of mental resilience in me, and I guess I just wanted to really share 3 things which have helped me get through. Which may or may not be useful to you. So the first thing is, I think, a change in mindset really, away from self to other. And I think that when you think of others and put others first, then it's actually quite easy to make sacrifices of oneself. And for me, that was obviously putting my wife and daughter before me this past week, which I didn't even hesitate to do. Because they're the most important thing in my life and I want to protect them. But even if that wasn't my situation, I would be shielding society from my symptoms. So I would have self-isolated in any case, because I believe very much that now we're in quite a poignant time in our society where we're moving in that shift away from self to other, and really caring about people and others out there that might be vulnerable. And particularly in light of the government yesterday announcing this social shielding measures of the 1.5 million vulnerable people that have been identified, it's never been more important really than now to put others before yourself. And I think when you have that bigger picture in mind, it's actually quite a motivator, and we've got quite a unique responsibility and to make a difference really, and to take it upon ourselves to play our part in that kind of greater good. So I think it's actually a real positive, and we should celebrate the other and enjoy that shift in society towards the other. That's the first thing. So the second thing is around the environment, and I've taken obviously the last week to study my environment in quite a lot of depth because it's all I've had to look at. Luckily I'm on the first floor and I've managed to enjoy the Kent Downs and the views across them, which has been nice. But the second thing I'm calling environment is really about the small treasures that might appear in that environment, and to actually take stock and pause for a moment in an otherwise hectic world that we lead, to really appreciate the smaller things in life. And that might be anything. This week, for example, I've had little paintings posted on my door, messages from my wife, texts from my friends and family, and calls from my family in support of the situation that I find myself in. So that's been wonderful, and that's really helped keep my energy levels high. But in terms of bigger than that, in my environment, I've looked to nature really, and I've always drawn inspiration from nature. And I think it's quite a nice time for us as we find ourselves locked down at home. If we have got outdoor space, or even if we can just look up at the sky and see birds, to really just appreciate what's around us. And for me this week, and I'd like to share it with you, it's 3 blossom trees that I planted actually for my wife's Mother's Day last year, and they've just come into full bloom in the past 2 to 3 days, and it's been really wonderful watching them grow and flourish and those little petals open, those white flowers appear. I've really enjoyed that process in watching nature and really appreciate its beauty. So the first step, really moving from self to other. The second, looking to your environment and taking stock of those small things that we can learn to appreciate in greater detail, and actually just looking at our environment in greater detail and taking stock. That's the second thing. The third thing and the final thing is actually, as I said, with last year being quite a challenging summer for me with that 14 weeks of isolation, my wife one day just put this little note next to my bed which just said very simply, "This too shall pass," or will pass. And for me that just had great significance and meaning, and it became my mantra really to think about a future where that pain and that suffering wasn't happening. And today, I think we all could do with just picturing us beating this together. And by using the power of other and celebrating other and pulling together as a community and having that collective positive energy and spirit, we will beat this thing, especially if we follow the guidelines and we do the thing that we can do individually to make the difference. We will succeed, and we will find ourselves in a time when we pass through this difficulty and we beat this virus out of existence. So really, and another thing, actually, something I often recommend to clients is a book by Stephen Covey called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And actually one of the first steps in that change process is starting with the end in mind, or beginning with the end in mind. And I think it's a really powerful thing to visualize, is to see past the here and now into a future which is brighter and better. And certainly if that is a future which has a greater sense of community and a greater celebration of the other, and a looking after and a care for people, then I think that's quite an exciting prospect despite all the bad news that we're seeing at the moment. So try and, if you can, shift that mindset into the future and believe in the end. And every day that passes, we are one step closer to beating it. So I have this great sense that we will, that together we are stronger and together we will succeed. So I really hope that's helped in some way, shape or form. As I say, share my thoughts with you. I'd like to do these quite regularly if I can. Obviously childcare dependent in terms of the situation we find ourselves entertaining our 3-year-old, but I would like ideally to do them daily, but if not, I will try and do them as regularly as I can. And any suggestions or feedback you've got, please just post it below. And let us know if you like or dislike what I'm saying, and any suggested topics that you might have for future ones. I'm going to try and keep them always under 10 minutes, so I'm just over 8 minutes at this point in time. And I don't want to take them any beyond that because I don't want to bore you senseless. But I'm hoping that we can start to develop a little group, a sense of community or belonging here for people to get access to a little mindfulness, a little reflective space, a little escape pod, if you like, a chance to get tapped into some positive vibes and energy, which is something I think is vitally important in light of what we're all facing together. And together is the operative word. So we will win and we will fight it because we are together much stronger. So thank you for listening again, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers.